Okay, so this is the last module, but I have a bonus session as well, which will be a summary of everything. So module 5 is implementation. Now, this is sort of the easy part that most people begin with, but it actually is the last stage. Now, implementation is just a manifestation of everything you want to achieve. Okay, remember we talked about becoming, so you're already becoming. You've taken steps to becoming by strategizing, by posing, or sort of acting it out for a while. But now you really need to implement full out, and you implement out of your goals, from your vision to your goals. And now these are the action steps. Okay, so you're no longer thinking about it, but you're doing. You're actually doing. What you're managing now is not the planning that we've been doing all along, but you're actually managing the doing, making sure you're consistent and that you're getting the results that you're looking for. Then you're actually building your wealth portfolio, you're building your relationships, you're working on your health, you're working on your marriage, you're working on the relationship with your kids or any other relationship that you have. And then you've created a new pattern and you're monitoring that pattern. You're seeing whether it's working. You're monitoring it over time to see that it's giving you the results you wanted. And you're working out to get the results. So you're tweaking the patterns to get the results that you needed in the first place. So you need eventually to start, because we're talking about wealth, one of the variables will be income. So are you getting income in order to build the wealth? Then are you investing to build the wealth? What are your targets for the savings that you want to make, for the investments that you want to make? What are your income targets? Are you meeting those targets? And of course, you're looking at cash flow, because just because you have assets doesn't mean you have cash flow. So for instance, you can save to buy property. So you have the property, let's say it's a house worth 5 million, but you don't have cash flow. In other words, you're not getting rental income, or even if you're getting the income, it is not enough to meet your targets. Or even if you are meeting it, you don't have the habits that can keep the money intact. In other words, you're spending it all. Okay, so look at your cash flows in terms of its availability for you to reinvest and to grow, because it's easy to spend. The target is not to spend, the target is reinvestment and growth. So now we need to work on a financial plan. Okay, have financial goals, raise funds, monthly cash inflows, raise those as well, raise your lifestyle, and to give you allowance. Let your lifestyle not overwhelm your income. Then build funds for projects. Okay, so I have a bonus session. So notice that was really, really quick, because yes, it's not that complicated when you have the right packaging, when you have the sacrifice idea in mind, and you have the strategies put in place. It's not that complicated. But what you can do is build up or write down, have spreadsheets that actually have what kinds of cash flow you need to have against what you're actually getting, what kind of investment goals you have, what kind of investment income you're looking at having against what you're actually making. It could be monthly or weekly or every 3 months, however you want to do it, but it needs to be a bit more frequent. So I'd say either weekly or monthly would be okay. So the bonus is hold space for others. Remember, we said at the beginning, this is not about you, this is about others. Do it for others. Whatever you have learned, whatever knowledge you have accumulated, whatever insight, do it for others. All that you have is not for you, it's for others. You are blessed to become a blessing. God told Abraham, I will bless you, and through you I will bless the nations. Allow others to grow into the best version of yourself. You don't have to nurture, but you can always coach. You can always coach people. You don't have to spend your lifetime with them. They can be with you for short spurts or short durations of time, and then they can move on with their lives. But hold space. If it is having an organization that nurtures people, that grows them, that sees that they reach their full potential, you can do that from just being the head, a corporate, CEO, being, in charge of the the workforce in itself allows you to grow people. You don't have to handhold them like on a one-on-one basis, but let there be space for that to happen. So I'm gonna run through, or maybe I should do the run through separately. Let me just do it here. I'm gonna run through everything we've covered. So number one was an introduction, which basically covers where your heart is where your money flows. Where your heart is where your money flows. So we need to sort out the heart issue. Where is your heart, basically? What are the things your heart beats for? And that's where your money will go. Then you come loaded. I already said that. You come loaded. So what are you loaded with? The third thing is that what rationale were you sold? So you need to figure out what are the weaknesses. And I covered that in module 1 in a different podcast. So just look for module 1, Queen Esther Generation module 1, or QS. No, back then I hadn't labeled or branded it as QS Gen, but look for module 1, Queen Esther Generation. It talks about our negative patterns and what we were sold, what we were told, the lies, the limiting beliefs, and societal patterns. Society has patterns that we're expected to follow even if they're not fruitful, they're not useful to us. Then discover your calling. This is all from week 1, which was module 1. Discover your calling and money flows where your vision is. I already said that. Yep. So you need the vision in order to have the money. Then the second module is self-mastery. In summary, the level of your call determines what is acceptable. Okay, so you act according to what you want to become. Goes without saying, right? So you nurture the habits that are going to lead you into what you want to achieve. Then number 2, what do you need to give up? We already talked about that in self-mastery. The third thing is that Esther was a queen, but she grew into it. So how do you need to grow into the space you want to occupy? And the fourth thing you need to consider is what do you need to become? And the fifth thing is there are habits that don't make wealth in themselves, but they are foundational, they are enablers. Remember I talked about study the person you want to be. What are they doing? What did they do? What have they continued to do, which is constant? So that is what I call enablers. They allow you to pitch your tent. They're the ground on which you're able to pitch your tent because they're firm, they're foundational, they're basic, they're enabling. Then the sixth thing is when it comes to big visions, it's what you want to become. So think about what you want to become first, because you embody what you see around you. What you see around you comes to you because of who you are in the first place. So write down your commitment in summary of module 1. This is a bit different because this is for a group setting, but even on your own, you can write down your commitment in terms of like it's already happened. I am a Mongol. I am a mother of nations. I steward people to great wealth. I am a CEO. I am a successful mother. I am the wealth builder. I have built XYZ. Just write it in terms of you've already done it. And then we move to module 3, which if I was doing it in a group setting would be week 3. The idea of sacrifice, which we've touched on already. Number 1, think about going the extra mile. It's very important. Number 2, what are you laying down is very important. It's your sacrifice. It's the cost, the price that you're paying. Number 3, write down your sacrifices. What are they in writing? And number 4, in order to achieve X, I will do Y. So you look at what you need to move out in order to bring in a new habit, which will form a new pattern. The number 5, choose your battles. The things you don't want to drop. There's some balls you cannot afford to drop, but there's some things that can go and they've got to go. Then if I was again in a group setting, week 4 would be module 4, which is strategy, and that's the roadmap. Number 1, work with the end in mind. Number 2, write down the vision. Okay, so the vision allows you to know what's the end. So write it down. Habakkuk 2, I believe, says write down the vision that a man who runs will see it. Number 3, break it down into goals. Number 4, ways to achieve the goal, which is how you're going to achieve the goal. through projects. Okay, so write down those projects. And then number 5, tasks to accomplish that project, which is the to-dos, the daily routines that we talked about. Then finally, we talked about implementation in this particular segment of this episode, which is populate your sheets regularly. I said come up with sheets for different areas of your life that you want to see change. Let it be measurable. Populate those sheets regularly. Weekly would be good. Have a to-do list on a weekly basis with weekly evaluation. Build your own sheets. I do not really recommend me giving you a sheet or you downloading, but you can get templates for ideas, but you own it more when you develop it yourself. Then it would probably show you what you want to save, what you want to invest in, how many kilos or pounds you want to lose, the progress for that, in how long. Everything should be nice, neat, and time bound. So for instance, save X amount by this time, get X amount, which is your income, by this time. Okay, so that's it. In conclusion, I hope you have been blessed. And I don't know how, but you can send me feedback just to see what areas you'd like covered and any questions that you have. But thank you for listening. Bye for now. Be blessed. Ciao.